Hello, guys and gals, and this is part 16 of our reading of Leaves of Gold. We'll go over what Leaves of Gold is. Leaves of Gold is an anthology of prayers, memorable phrases, inspirational verse, and prose from the best authors in the world, both ancient and modern, edited by Clyde Francis Lytle. And we are going to go over the copyright information, which is revised edition, 12th printing, 1964. Copyright 1938 by Evan S. Coslet. Revised 1948 by Donald G. Remley. And copyright 1948 by A.C. and D.G. Remley. Published by the Coslet Publishing Company out of Williamsport, Pennsylvania. Printed in the United States of America. And we are going to start chapter 16 here, which is entitled Home. Okay, there we go. Neglect. A story is told of a young man who stood at the bar of justice to be sentenced for forgery. The judge had known the young man from childhood, for his father had been a famous legal light, and his work on the law of trusts was the most exhaustive work on the subject. Do you remember your father? Asked the judge sternly. That father whom you have disgraced? The prisoner answered, I remember him perfectly. When I went to him for advice or companionship, he would look up from his book in the law of trust and say, Run away, boy, I am busy. My father finished his book, and here I am. The great lawyer had neglected his own trust with awful results. That's from the Public Speaker's Library. Now we have Joys of Home. Curling smoke from a chimney low, and only a few more steps to go, faces pressed at a window pane, watching for someone to come again. And I am the someone they want to see. These are the joys life gives to me. So let me come home at night and rest with those who know I have done my best. Let the wife rejoice and my children smile, and I know by their love that I'm worthwhile. For this is conquest and world success, a home where abideth happiness. This is by Edgar A. Guest. Joy of Home is from the book When Day is Done by Edgar A. Guest. Copyright 1921 by the Riley and Lee Company out of Chicago. Peace at home. He is happiest to be Oh, wait. Sorry. This is worded a little bit interestingly. Peace at home. He is happiest, be he king or peasant, who finds peace in his home. That is by Goethe. Okay, now we have adoption. When Christ receives a soul into his love, he puts upon him the ring of adoption. Adopted. Why then, we are brothers and sisters to all the good of earth and heaven. We have the family name and the family dress, and the Father looks down upon us, robes us, defends and blesses, and the insignia of eternal glory is our coat of arms. That's by Galloway. Next we have one called Self-Reliance. If you would have your son be something in the world, teach him to depend on himself. Let him learn that it is by close and strenuous personal application he must rise, that he must in short make himself and be architect of his own fortune. That is by Edwards. Now we have something called the Watcher. She always learned to watch for us, anxious if we were late, in winter by the windows, in summer by the gate. And though we mocked her tenderly, who had such foolish care, the long way home would seem more safe because she waited there. Okay. Her thoughts were all so full of us, she never could forget, and so I think that where she is, she must be watching yet, waiting till we come home to her, anxious if we are late, watching from heaven's windows, leaning from heaven's gate. As by Margaret Whittimer. From Cross Currents by Margaret Whittimer, Copyright 1921 by Harcourt, Brace and Company, Incorporated. Reprinted by permission. Next we have love. Love has many ways of expressing itself, but in general the ways are two, the practical and the sentimental. Which is the higher and better way? It is merely a question of appropriateness under the circumstances. Love must express itself very often in coal and cornmeal and salt pork and clothes. But let it not be concluded that love may not express itself in acts of pure sentiment. The soul has needs. Sympathy and tenderness and friendship are just as real and more enduring than coal and wood. Sometimes a flower is more important than flour. That's Flower is more important than flour, Flur. Sometimes a word of cheer is better than gold. That's by Farrell. Measuring rods. I know what mother's face is like, though I cannot see. It's like the music of a bell. It's like the way the roses smell. It's like the stories fairies tell. It's all of these to me. I know what father's face is like. I'm sure I know it all. It's like the whistle in the air. It's like his step up on the stair. It's like his arms that take much care and never let me fall. And I know what God is like, the God whom no one sees. He's everything my mother means. He's like my very sweetest dreams. He's everything my father seems, but greater than all these. A botany lesson. If we had paid no more attention to our plants than we have to our children, we would now be living in a jungle of weeds. That's by Luther Burbank. Now we have homegrown. Happiness grows at our own firesides and is not to be picked in strangers' gardens. That is by Douglas Gerold. Now we have apotheosis. A Mother's Kiss Made Me a Painter by Benjamin West. Bent breathless o'er a sleeping baby's bed, a boy whose fingers twitch with restless zeal, thrilled as he watched the fitful light reveal the smile that crossed under tender lips that spread. It seems to him to be God's very seal. Those trembling fingers seize a coal still red, and strove to tell in lines that his heart said, a boy's crude sketch of innocence ideal. A mother paused from tasks dark, found undone, and with her worn hand roughly touched his cheek, then made her boy an artist with a kiss. The source of genius is not hard to seek. Its faltering sparks are fanned to flame, each one, by trust like this shown in a mother's kiss. And that is by Clyde Francis Lytle, who is also the editor of the book. A little child shall lead them. In the old days there were angels who came and took men by the hand and led them away from the city of destruction. We see no white-winged angels now, but yet men are led away from threatening destruction. A hand is put into theirs, which leads them forth gently towards a calm, bright land, so that they look no more backward, and the hand may be a little child's. That is by George Eliot. Is there a Santa Claus? Dear editor, I am 8 years old. Some of my friends say there is no Santa Claus. Papa says, if you see it in the sun, it's so. Please tell me the truth. Is there a Santa Claus? And that is by Virginia O'Hanlon. 115 West 95th Street. Virginia, your little friends are wrong. They have been affected by the skepticism of a skeptical age. They do not believe except they see. They think that nothing can be which is not comprehensible by their little minds. All minds, Virginia, whether they be men's or children's, are little. In this great universe of ours, man is a mere insect, an ant in his intellect, as compared with the boundless world about him, as measured by the intelligence capable of grasping the whole of truth and knowledge. Yes, Virginia, there is a Santa Claus. He exists as certainly as love and generosity and devotion exist, and you know that they abound and give to our that they abound and give to our life its highest beauty and joy. Alas, how dreary would be the world if there were no Santa Claus. It would be as dreary as if there were no Virginias. There would be no childlike faith then, no poetry, no romance to make tolerable this existence. We should have no enjoyment except in sense and sight. The eternal light with which childhood fills the world would be extinguished. Not believe in Santa Claus? You might as well not believe in fairies. You might give your papa to hire men to watch in all the chimneys on Christmas Eve to catch Santa Claus. But even if they did not see Santa Claus coming down, what would that prove? Nobody sees Santa Claus, but that is no sign there is no Santa Claus. The most real things in the world are those that neither children nor men can see. Did you ever see fairies dancing on the lawn? Of course not. But that's not proof that they are not there. Nobody can conceive or imagine all the wonders there are unseen and unseeable in the world. You may tear apart the baby's rattle and see what makes the noise inside, but there is no veil covering the unseen world, which not the strongest man, nor even the unified strength of all the strongest men that ever lived could tear apart. Only faith, fancy, poetry, love, romance can push aside that curtain and view the picture. The supernal beauty and glory beyond on it. Is it all real? Yes, Virginia. In all this world, there is nothing else real and abiding. No Santa Claus? Thank God. He lives, and he lives forever. 1,000 years from now, Virginia, nay, 10 times 10,000 years from now, he will continue to make glad the heart of childhood. Casual Essays of the Sun. Patience. If we knew the baby fingers pressed against the window pane would be cold and stiff tomorrow, never trouble us again. Would the bright eyes of our darling catch the frown upon our brow? Would the prints of rosy fingers vex us then as they do now? All those little ice-cold fingers, how they point our memories back to the hasty words and actions strewn along our backward track. How those little hands remind us, as in snowy grace they lie, not to scatter thorns but roses for our reaping by and by. That's by Selected. Next we have looks like we still have a long way to go. Heart's Ease. Every house where love abides and friendship is a guest is surely home, and home, sweet home, for there the heart can rest. And that's by Henry Van Dyke. To my father, it matters not that time has shed his thawless snow upon your head, for he maintains with wondrous art perpetual summer in your heart. As by William Hamilton Hayne. All the world. There is an enduring tenderness in the love of a mother to a son that transcends all other affections of the heart. It is neither to be chilled by selfishness, nor daunted by danger, nor weakened by worthlessness, nor stifled by ingratitude. She will sacrifice every comfort to her convenience. She will surrender every pleasure to his enjoyment. She will glory in his fame and exult in his prosperity. And if misfortune overtakes him, he will be the dearer to her for misfortune. And if disgrace settle upon his name, she will still love and cherish him in spite of his disgrace. And if all the world beside cast him off, she will be all the world to him. That's by Washington Irving. Road maps. Would you learn the road to Laughter Town? O ye who have lost the way, would you have young heart, though your hair be gray? Go learn from a little go learn from a little child each day. Go serve his wants and play his play, and catch the lilt of his laughter, and follow his dancing feet as they stray. Okay, stray, I get. For he knows the road to Laughter Town, O ye who have lost the way. And that's by Catherine D. Blake. A boy to train. A man who has a boy to train has work to keep him night and day. There is much to him he must explain, and many a doubt to clear away. His task is one which calls for tact and friendship of the finest kind, because with every word and act he molds the little fellow's mind. He must be careful of his speech, for careless words are quickly learned. He must be wise enough to teach what corners may be safely turned. A Boy to Train is copyright by Edgar A. Guest, used by permission of the publishers, the Riley and Lee Company out of Chicago. Next we have, what would you take? What would you take for that soft little head, pressed close to your face at time for bed? For the white, dimpled hand in your own held tight, and the dear little the dear little eyelids kissed down for the night. What would you take? What would you take for that smile in the morn, those bright dancing eyes and the face they adorn, for the sweet little voice that you hear all day, laughing and cooing, yet nothing to say? What would you take? What would you take for those pink little feet, those chubby round cheeks, and that mouth so sweet? For the wee tiny fingers and little soft toes, the wrinkly little neck, and the funny little nose. Now, what would you take? And that's from Good Housekeeping. Neighbor. What is meant by our neighbor we cannot doubt. It is everyone with whom we are brought into contact. First of all, he is literally our neighbor, who is next to us in our own family and household. Husband to wife, wife to husband, parent to child, brother to sister, master to servant, servant to master. Then it is he who is close to us in our own neighborhood, in our own town, in our own parish, in our own street. With these, all true charity begins. To have and be kind to these is the very beginning of all true religion. But beside these, as our Lord teaches, it is everyone who is thrown across our path by the changes and chances of life. He or she, whoever it be, whom we have any means of helping, the unfortunate stranger whom we may meet in traveling, the deserted friend whom no one else cares to look after. That's by A. P. Stanley. Next we have motto for every home. Whoever thou art that entereth here, forget the struggling world and every trembling fear. Take from thy heart each evil thought and all that selfishness within thy life has wrought. For once inside this place thou will find no banter, no barter, servants' fear, nor master's voice unkind. Here all are kin of God above, thou too, dear heart, and here the rule of life is love. Immediacy. He who helps a child helps humanity with an immediateness which no other help given to human creature is any other stage of human life can possibly give again. That's by Phillips Brooks. Okay. Restoration. Could Every time worn heart but see thee once again, a happy human child among the homes of men. The age of doubt would pass, the vision of thy face would silently restore the childhood of the race. That's by Henry Van Dyke. The Bravest Battle. The bravest battle that ever was fought, shall I tell you where and when? On the maps of the world you will find it not. 'Twas fought by the mothers of men. Nay, not with cannons or battle shot, with a sword or noble pen. Nay, not with eloquent words or thought from mouths of wonderful men. But deep in a walled-up woman's heart, of a woman that would not yield, but bravely silent bore her part. Lo, there is that battlefield. No marshaled troops, no bivouac song, no banner to gleam and wave, but oh, these battles, they last so long, from babyhood to the grave. Yet faithful still as a bridge of stars, she fights in her walled-up town, fights on and on in the endless wars. Then silent, unseen, goes down. O ye, with banners and battle shot, and soldiers to shout and praise, I tell you the kingliest victories were fought in those silent ways. O spotless woman of the world of shame, with splendid and silent scorn, go back to God as white as you came, the kingliest warrior born. That was by Joaquin Miller. Next we have but only one mother. Most of all the other beautiful things in life come by twos and threes, by dozens and hundreds, plenty of roses, stars, sunsets, rainbows, brothers and sisters, aunts and cousins, but only one mother in the whole world. That's by Kate Douglas Wiggin. Box. No, boy. Sorry. It says boy. Looks like an X for some reason. Boy. For the time when a boy is in danger of going a little bit wild is when he's too young to be married. He's too old to be known as a child. A bird of the wild grass thicket, just out of the parent tree flown. Too large to keep in the old nest, too small to have one of its own. When desolate mid his companions, his soul is a stake to be won. 'Tis then that the devil stands ready to get a good place to catch on. That is by Selected. Now we have The Watchman. Nothing is sweeter than love, nothing more courageous, nothing higher, nothing wider, nothing more pleasant, nothing fuller, nor better in heaven and earth, because love is born of God and cannot rest but in God above. All created things, love feels no burden, thinks nothing of trouble, attempts what is above its strength, pleads no excuse of impossibility. It is therefore able to undertake all things, and it completes many things and warrants them to take effect. When he who does not love would faint and lie down, love is watchful and sleeping slumbereth not. Though weary, it is not tired. Though pressed, it is not straitened. Though alarmed, it is not confounded. But as a lively flame and burning torch, it forces its way upward and securely passes all. That is by Thomas Å Kempis. Now we have Sun. When I look out upon the florid years, ensnared in dreams and castles vainly built, encumbered in uncertainty and fears of doing, comes propinquity with guilt. That's my own duty, son. Be not well done. That should that should you fail, your boyish hands full grown will mark me cause that fortune's never won, and favors lost or wisdom scantly known shall stand between us. This your credo make, to live the truth in speech and deed, to spend long efforts towards good courtesy, and take great great pains with kindness, all your days commend to glad God-fearing work, and rightly none shall put a contemny upon you, son. That is by Lillian Arline Walbert. The model. Did you ever watch a little child take a lesson in model drawing? Never two strokes of a pencil without a glance at the model. And the first law and the last law of the imitation of Christ is just this: looking unto Jesus. And that is by George Jackson. My boy. So let him live, love work, love play, love all that life can give, and when he grows too weary to feel joy, leave life with laughter to some other boy. That is by Charles C. Wakefield. Mutual help. The family is a school of mutual help. Each member depends on each other. Today, the robust father holds the wee laddie on his knee or leads him up the stairway of the schoolroom in which he is to be taught his alphabet. But there is a tomorrow coming, by and by, when the lisper of the ABC will be the master of a home of his own, with an infirm gray-haired parent dozing away his sunset years in an armchair. Each helps the other when and where the help is most needed, and every word and deed of unselfish love comes back in blessings on its author. God put helpless babies and infirm parents into our families for this purpose, among others, and that the strong may bear the burden of the weak, and in bearing them may grow stronger themselves in Bible graces. That is by Coolier. My mother. She was as good as goodness is. Her acts and all her words were kind, and high above all memories I hold the beauty of her mind. That is by Frederick Hence Adams. A standard. There is nothing by which men display their character so much as in what they consider ridiculous. That is by Goethe. Boundless. They talk about a woman's sphere as though it had a limit. There is not a place on earth or heaven. There is not a task to mankind given. There is not a blessing or a woe. There is not a whispered yes or no. There is not life or death or birth that has a father's weight of worth without a woman in it. Next we have forgive. We may, if we choose, make the worst of one another. Everyone has his weak points. Everyone has his faults. We may make the worst of these. We may fix our attention constantly upon them. But we may also make the best of one another. We may forgive even as we hope to be forgiven. We may put ourselves in the place of others and ask what we should wish to be done to us, and thought of us were we in their place, by loving whatever is lovable in those around us. Love will flow back from them to us, and life will become a pleasure instead of a pain. And earth will become like heaven, and we shall become not unworthy followers of him whose name is love. And now we have memories. Memories. Like a richly colored flame whose bright tip draws upward, but is brushed by erring storm, then relentlessly seeks the earth's dark form, and buries its deep desires bit by bit. Thus your life ebbed, though trembling, pleading lips. Though trembling, pleading lips. Okay. Cried proffered words to a triune God. In vain I watched for one familiar nod, then pressed my mouth to thin black hairy wisps. Memories. Mother, how can I forget? Your smiling eyes with sad mystery tinged, your helping hands, though labor wrought with tasks. Mother, your clear, high laughter had a depth that thrilled my heart and lifted silence winged with boundless joy. Thank God, memories last. As by Hildred A. Demerch. And we are to chapter 17, Immortality, which we will pick up when we pick this up again. We have been reading from Leaves of Gold. This is a book that is edited by Clyde Francis Lytle. And we've been reading specifically a chapter 16 actually, called Home. Anyways, if you like this content, make sure you like and subscribe, ring the bell so you know I upload. Also, if you want to support me in any way, if you want to join the Discord server, all the information will be in the description below. As always, thanks for watching, everyone, and have a great day.